Welcome to Players World Kitchen podcast, made in Wrexham and brought to you by Oscar Mayer, the Rugby Players Association, and Brand Me. My name is Judith Batchelor, and today I have joining me in the studio rugby player Muir. And she's going to share with us some of her thoughts about her journey, player pathways to the elite game, the World Cup, and some of her amazing hobbies, more of which later. But before we start on all of those, for those of you who don't know Maud, she has a pretty impressive track record. She currently plays for Gloucester Hartpury, having joined the club in 2022 from Wasps. She made her senior debut for England against New Zealand in autumn 2021 before starting her first game against the USA. She has gone on to cement her place in the front row for both club and country at just 23 years old. Makes me exhausted just thinking about it. Maud recently became a co-host on For the Love of Rugby alongside Shauna Brown and Sadia Kabir. Welcome, Maud, and thank you for coming on the programme.
Thank you very much for having me.
I have got so much I want to talk to you about, having read up about some of your hobbies and the things that you do outside of rugby. But before we get to all of those interesting things of your life outside of rugby, I wondered if you could share with the listeners just how you got to become a first choice for club and country at 23 years old.
Yeah, I got into rugby when I was about 5 years old. My brother just played and I went down to the local club and just really wanted to play with him. Not with him, he's like 7 years older than me. Yeah. So I wanted to play and kind of just played because I loved the game. I never knew that England rugby, men or women, was a thing. So I kind of just played because I loved it. And yeah, I kind of just went through the whole England pathway, the real traditional county, regional, under 18s, under 20s, literally every pathway I was in. And then, made my debut in Exeter a few years ago.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
And I think, again, women role models in rugby are few and far between. Mm-hmm. And I think when young girls look at someone like you at your age playing at such a high level, it must be really inspiring. Yeah,
it's really rewarding, to be fair, like seeing loads of young girls and boys after games like come up to us and their parents especially saying to us, like, you've made such a difference. Like, that really means a lot and is definitely like a big driving factor of now why I play. And, so those little 5-year-olds, girls can look up to it. And like the fact that we're so accessible now, it's just amazing and they can have something to look up to.
And again, life outside of rugby, we are here in Wrexham talking about food and Players World Kitchen. And you have just filmed your episode of Players World Kitchen. Can you tell us a bit about, well, A, what you cooked and how your guests reacted to that, but also just the whole experience itself?
So I actually judged Sylvia's first, and I think that made me more nervous because I was like, oh my gosh, I've got so many elements to my dish, but it was so fun. Like the whole day and the whole couple of days have been so fun. It's so nice being with all the girls, like they're incredible, all the background staff, amazing. As for my actual dish, I called it, what did I call it? Maud's Mediterranean Meze. Yes. But it should be called Maud's Messy Mediterranean Meze, because the kitchen was in a bit of a state, I can't lie, after I was done. But
Is that normal for you?
Yeah, very messy, very clumsy, constantly falling over, to be honest. But I managed to plate up like a semi-decent meal, and I think the girls really enjoyed it. So yeah, was proud of that. But definitely one to watch out for.
Yeah. So what was actually in Maud's Mediterranean Messy Meze?
Yes, there was a lot of elements. A lamb kofta, chicken gyros, not really sure how to say it. There was like a barley thing, and then a Greek salad, but they called it a village salad, but I don't know why it's called village salad, but with like tomatoes, onions, peppers, pomegranate and feta. Very nice.
Oh, very healthy.
Yeah. Tzatziki and flatbread. Like there was a lot of different elements
going on.
Yeah. But probably replicates or like shows like my side. Like there's just a lot going on in my life. So it's quite representative of myself.
And I hear you got some good scores.
I did actually, yeah. They were very generous, I think.
Well, you're being modest, but no, well done.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure I could. Well, there were a lot of people watching, and there were a lot of cameras on you.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's quite intimidating.
Yeah, I was in the zone though. Some of my answering of Shauna's questions, I can't lie, they were a bit short. So I do feel bad, but I was in the zone.
Obviously, your sort of life outside of rugby, you work with Shauna anyway, don't you? So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so just before the Six Nations, for the Love of Rugby, producers came up to us and were just speaking are we interested in doing kind of a women's version of the show? And I was very keen, and the fact that Shauna and Sadia both are involved was even more of a benefit, and the fact that we kind of they came to where we were after the Six Nations games, and we reflected and looked ahead to the next week's games. It was good, but it was also very chatty as well. So it was quite nice to get. Hopefully the viewers saw our personalities as well. But I really enjoyed it, and it definitely has made me hopefully be a bit better at talking, because sometimes when I'm speaking, I'm like, oh.
No, I also think those things are quite therapeutic, aren't they? Yeah. You think about post-match or post anything really, whether it's business world or sporting world, actually going over how things went and thinking about how you might do things differently, or thinking about, what worked well, what didn't work quite so well. Those things are really helpful.
Yeah, very healthy.
And you quite often don't externalise those things, you internalise them. Yeah. And actually it's good to talk about it.
Definitely. It made me have probably a bit of a broader reflection of the games and going into the week, for as a playing perspective as well. So that was not what I thought I was going to get out of it, but it was another benefit.
And also I think having those conversations and sort of parking that performance and mentally moving on to the next thing, actually, as they say, leave it on the wave behind, as they say, actually is quite a difficult thing to do. It's easy to say, but actually to sort of park that, put that to history, and then, as you say, focus on the week ahead is actually quite well, and you're forced to do that. You
kind of are, but you also need to learn from those games. So you kind of need to have it in the back of your mind, but not full focus, but know what you need to improve.
Both reflective and forward looking at the same time.
Exactly.
A bit like every rugby player's career, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm always very conscious when I talk to you and your colleagues that, you work really, really hard. As you say, you've been playing rugby for a very long time. You've been through the kind of traditional pathway to the elite game. You're here, it's all happening for you. But before you know it, it will be over.
Yeah.
And, what next, what after rugby? And I know it's a big thing we focus on at the Rugby Players Association, is saying how do we prepare people and help and support people for life after rugby? But you're doing that all for yourself at the moment. So
trying.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about, what's going on, how your hobbies may potentially be becoming your next career.
Yeah, I think since a young age, I always had many things I was interested in, but probably didn't last too long. I learnt the harmonica a few months ago, but that's gone nowhere. But I'm very creative as a person. I like being able to do things that aren't to do with rugby, and seeing lots of people within that thing, but also being able to do it on my own. And I think I've definitely learned over the years, because I'm a very sociable person, to be able to spend a bit of time by myself and be able to just completely shut off with all the thoughts that are in my head. So I find doing pottery or, editing a video, I really have time to just be in, my own company and not have to think about all the things I need to do.
But also, I think, those things, if you're editing something, if you're at a potter's wheel, and you've got to be fully focused on it, haven't you? Yeah. Your mind can't wander onto other things.
Exactly,
it's totally absorbing.
Yeah.
And that is relaxing in its own right.
Yeah, for sure. And I do tend to, once I'm in the editing zone, I will do it until it's finished. I'm very... hyper focused until it's done.
Job done.
Yeah. I mean, I do get distracted, actually, to be fair. But I like having that kind of out. What's the word?
Outlet.
That is the word.
Yeah. Oh, I think we all need that. I mean, when I was working full time, I love ballet, as lots of people know. And in fact, Shauna came to the ballet at the Royal Opera House.
She did,
to see Romeo and Juliet. Absolutely beautiful. But that after a hard day's work, you've got this most beautiful orchestra, these amazing surroundings, athletes performing at the heights of their careers on stage in front of you. It is a complete outlet for the tensions of work, because you can't not be absorbed by it. It's so I get that. I was just wondering, actually, because a lot of the things that you're doing now are in, your photography, some of the stuff you're doing on social media and Instagram, some of the things that you're doing from a film point of view. Being here for the last couple of days, surrounded by creative people, chefs, surrounded by photographers, filmmakers, cameramen, soundmen, you must have been in your element.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I really like meeting new people, and I feel like everyone in the creative industry and sport industry, it is so nice and so easy to get on with. And I think because they're constantly working with different people, they have to be. So I just find how many people in a crew is actually insane, how many people you need to do like a 30-minute show, for example. Like, it's wild, but everyone's got a specific role and everyone is needed, it's probably quite a nice thing to be a part of. Like, really, you are needed for that job, for the whole production to go ahead. But like, they were saying some like wild words, like for the cameras and like the different numbers and stuff, and I just put my camera on automatic and hope for the best, to be honest. And I try and make it that it's a good photo, but it is really, really interesting.
I also think I think the vibe around here over the last 2 days has been really positive. But I do think there is something about the creative industries, and particularly what we're trying to do here with giving the players a voice and using food as an opportunity to give players a voice, is that those individuals are all here to bring out the best in you. Whether that's the best shot, whether that's best bit of conversation in the kitchen, whether that's the best food on the plate, whatever it might be, everyone's focused on making it the best it possibly can be, and framed around you, as the person at the centre of that.
Which is similar to rugby. Yeah, like analysis, S&C, physio, you're all needed to be the best rugby team, to win the World Cup at the end of the year. Like, it's crazy how similar they are, but how different as well.
But it is such a positive environment. And I think back to other environments that maybe aren't quite so positive. I think that's why the energy levels have been so high, actually. Definitely, there haven't been many energy sappers, as I call them, in the room.
No, it's been so good.
What's been the most surprising thing about the last couple of days?
Everything was a bit surprising. I don't think any of us really knew what we were getting ourselves into. And it's just been incredible. Like, I didn't even really know what Oscar was. I didn't know who he was. I was like, who is this person? So it's all been pretty crazy. I think the amount of crew has been the most surprising, because I've worked on other things, but I think this has been a lot of people and a lot of work.
Yeah, and I think bringing it all together, whether it's the food stylist, whether it's the runners or the home economists, the chefs, the kitchen porters, Brittany here helping us with podcasts. It's like rugby. It's a good team effort. It needs a much broader team than just the team out there playing. In this case, playing in the kitchen.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
And new people that you've met from the rugby world, because I know you've got here, I suppose, over the last couple of days, people playing for England, Wales, Scotland, Italy. It's quite a mixture, but you seem to have all gelled really well.
I feel like that is just a thing with rugby, like especially women's rugby. I mean, obviously I've never played men's rugby, but with women's rugby, like, you kind of know people and you're instantly friends. Like, I felt like I knew, for example, Karis. I've never met her properly. Like we used to play against each other as kids, but we never have formally met. But we got on like and get on like a house on fire, and all 6 of us, to be fair, straight away just click, and we haven't really spent time with each other before, other than like worky bits. So it is just so amazing that you can go to things like this and like be settled straight away, and can just relax into it, and then you feel so much more comfortable.
No, I think it's been special to see, as you say, but of course you've got a Rugby World Cup coming up, and then suddenly you're going to be competitors.
I know.
So how does that work?
Yeah, it is weird, but like, for example, at Gloucester, we have half the team are Welsh, but that doesn't matter until, that you play against them and you're going to be as competitive as you can against them. But after the game, you'll have a hug and, reflect about the game, talk about your week, like the game's done then. And then, it's normal again. So it's not, I think it's just a part of rugby, and, you're not going to be like, oh, that's my friend Sylvia, I'm going to have it out on her, or be nice to her. It doesn't really work like that. But it's just, I always like seeing people that I know after a game, and, me and Sylvia swapped shirts, for example, in the game in the Six Nations, which is so lovely to have her shirt.
Brilliant. So, hopes for what the World Cup will do for the women's game?
I think just consistency of fans and engagement, and just more people playing it. Just growth in general, which is very, very broad, I know. But I just want more girls to play rugby and play. I know that, being professional is so amazing, and it's the dream job, but playing because you love it. And I think that's a big thing for me, is I always played because I loved it. And then the professionalism came with it, and the playing for England came. But I wouldn't have got there if I didn't enjoy it. So play for enjoyment first, and then hopefully, you can get as far as international with it.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think it was Mark Twain who said, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
And I always think I've been incredibly lucky, because I don't feel that what I've done has been work. And people say to me, you work so hard, you put so much into things. And I think, yeah, but it's because I'm doing what I love,
and it's fun,
and it's not work.
Yeah, exactly.
But you've got that with rugby.
Yeah.
And are you getting that from the other things that you're doing that may be your life after rugby? Because quite often people don't find something that is as enjoyable and as rewarding personally after rugby, because it's such an amazing thing to be a professional sportsman and woman. Do you think the things that you're looking at now for life after rugby are going to give you that kind of buzz?
I think so. Like I do a lot of things. Like I fill all my time. Like we had this whole May off, but I haven't really spent any time at home. I've just been here, there and everywhere, but seeing all my friends and seeing lots of different people, which I really, really love. I think before I became a rugby player, I wanted to be a teacher and work with kids. So I could definitely see myself even doing that with other things on the side. But to be honest, I just see myself in a little cottage with a pottery wheel out the back of it.
Oh, wow.
And just having like kind of a slow life, but also going to visit all my friends, and, having kids and running around. And like, I don't have huge aims work-wise, but I think that will come. But I'm hoping that I can also have a very chilled life. I haven't really thought about it. I've thought about it a lot, but I'm hoping I'll just go with the flow.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly got plenty of opportunities, because you're the kind of person, I mean, as we know, pitching up here, not quite knowing what to expect. You're the kind of person that says yes to things because
I can't say no.
But you learn things that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you don't say yes, you'll never know what might have been.
What you might have missed. Yeah,
exactly. But it's quite interesting. I look at you and think, what a great role model for the game, but for just young women in general. And, you will have had role models when you were growing up that you looked at. I mean, who were the role models for you? Yeah,
it's weird. I get that question quite a lot, but I feel like no one ever like fully sticks out in my mind. I think like my family have always been so supportive, but I didn't really watch sport or rugby growing up at all. a funny story is that I was in French like class in secondary school, and they told me to pick a role model and speak about it in French. And I had no idea. I Googled England women's rugby player, and Vicky Cornborough came up. So I talked about her. And to be fair, I really, really looked up to Vicky Cornborough, especially when I was playing with her, and she was so lovely and helped me so much. But it's just funny. She's a great gal. But it's funny that I literally Googled female rugby player because I had no idea. And I think I probably could have, if I watched sport, I would have been able to have a role model, but I wasn't that interested. I just played it because I loved it. And, you know, my teammates in under 18s, under 15s, you know, throughout my whole life, they were probably more of my role models than an actual celebrity or sports person.
It's funny you say that because I was having a conversation with someone the week and who actually works with Arsenal women's football team. And we were talking about role models in women's sport and saying it's quite difficult. There are very few. And what she said is I think the role models and where I get my inspiration from are the players. Because you see these amazing young women who, you know, have come from all different backgrounds, who are playing a sport, and they are playing it to a very, very high level. They are some of the best athletes in the world. That is where I get my inspiration, and they are my role models. And I thought, gosh, that's a really good answer. I wish I'd thought of that because my answer wasn't half as good. But it's true, actually. No, it is true, because you get quite emotional when you think about, you know, I look at you and your colleagues and think what you've done to get where you are today. That is inspiring. I mean, most people would have given up a long time ago. You've been tenacious, persevered, and it's not been easy, has it?
No, definitely not. And I think every rugby player, especially every women's rugby player, has a story. Whether it's, you know, been through something traumatic or something little, everyone has a story. And it's so inspirational. And I get so much of my motivation from my teammates. Like, look at Zoe Allcroft, for example. She is the best leader in every way possible. She will throw 110% into everything and everything. And she inspires everyone by being herself. Like, she doesn't need to do anything different to be that leader. She's just herself and is the most hardworking person I know. So, like, she provides me with so much inspiration.
Yeah. And I think about, you know, it's a bit difficult saying what would you say to your younger self, because you're still young in terms of rugby player, you know, terms. But thinking about young girls coming up through the ranks now and following the pathway, you know, what advice would you give to them? And I know you probably get asked this question all the time, but I'm interested in that.
I do think, as I said earlier, like playing with a smile on my face and on your face, and, you know, doing it because you enjoy it, and working hard will be easier when you enjoy it. And, you know, that hard conditioning session, crack a joke, have a laugh, like obviously listen to the coaches and stuff, but do it having fun, and then, you know, it will come with it is kind of what I'd say.
There has obviously been a lot of laughter here over the last couple of days. And it's as you said earlier, it's the kind of having a sense of purpose as well as, because, you know, playing for your country is very purposeful, as they say. But also, you know, enjoying it. I remember once I was made redundant from a role, and they send you off to someone to help you with your CV. And she said to me, what are you good at? You know, what are your skills? And do the whole transferable skills conversation that everyone talks about. And then she said, but what do you enjoy? And she said, that's what's most important. And of course, you can give a whole list of skills that you have, and then you say, what does give me pleasure? And a lot of that is just ways of working. It's not skills. So if I was to ask you that question, what is it that about all of this that gives you pleasure? What are the elements of it that are the things that bring you that pleasure?
I think, like, being lighthearted and taking light of situations. Does that make sense? I'm not too sure. Like, for example, you know, when people are having a hard day, making them bit more relaxed, and I'd say that's probably my most highest skill. I'm not sure. I'd like to think that people would, feel ease and have a laugh in my company.
Yeah, I think I would say that's very true. Having witnessed the way that you operate, is that you put things into perspective. You're very chilled about things. You take things in your stride. I'm a bit like your flat tire this morning, an hour before you were due in to hair and makeup. Yeah. No, it's it's an interesting one. So, coming to the last question.
Oh, yes.
So you're about to be marooned. This is a bit sort of like Desert Island Discs, but not. But
my mum loves that.
It's a great programme.
Yeah.
But with a twist. So you're about to be marooned on a desert island, and you can take your 3-course meal and a drink with you.
Yeah.
So what would be your 3-course meal and drink on your desert island?
This is so hard. This is such a hard question for me, because I really enjoy all genres of food. I don't know if it's genres, cuisines. And every day is so different. But you're gonna think this is a lot of food, but I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, it's my last meal. It doesn't matter if I'm really full. Oh no, wait. Is it my last meal?
It may not be.
May not be.
How resourceful you are on this desert island.
True. Anyway.
But you'll probably be having a lot of fish in the future.
Yeah, true. I would start off with a Chinese starter medley. So, for example, peanut chicken satay, duck pancakes. To be honest, seaweed, I'd maybe have. I love the taste of seaweed. Little prawn crackers, sweet chili sauce, a whole medley of Chinese starters.
Yeah.
Main course. Now, this is hard because there is a lot of things that I like. And I'm going to have another medley. I'm going to have...
theme emerging here.
A lot of medleys, or maudleys it should be called.
Yeah, here we go.
I am going to have, a bit like what I had today, to be fair, what I made today, a Turkish medley. So it's... I don't know if it's the same as a lamb kofta, but there's a thing called Adana kofta. Right. Don't actually know what it means, but that is delicious. Chicken, this lovely, it's called giant couscous, but it's pearl barley, little Greek salad on the side, tzatziki, warm, fresh flatbreads, not my homemade ones, this specific restaurant in Oxford called the Antep Kitchen.
Yeah.
It is this specific place. And then I'm going to have a few sides. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to have some chicken wings with a barbecue-y or Korean sauce, and a side sausage. If you know me, with every meal, if they have a side sausage on the menu, I love sausages. And then for pudding, I'm not majorly fussed on pudding. I don't know if this is allowed. This is really bending the rules, but I'd maybe get a pick and mix, sweets pick and mix.
Yeah.
I think I'd just prefer that.
Lots of little things.
Fizzy fangs, Percy pigs.
That pick and mix.
Yeah,
not a dessert pick and mix.
No, not a medley. Not a medley.
Not
a real sweet pick and mix. I love sweets. I'm such a sweet girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Sorry, that is a lot of food. I'd probably have bended all the rules.
Yeah. And to drink?
To drink, probably an elderflower and fizzy water.
Right.
Yeah. Fizzy elderflower.
Well, it's a real mix of healthy stuff in there and a sugar overload.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
That's okay. I'm sure I think you've never had as much food as that.
No. Well, and I like the idea of the maudley as opposed to the medley.
Exactly.
You are a creative person after all. But Maud, thank you so much for joining us for this podcast. I'm amazed at what you have achieved in such a short space of time. I am very, very excited to see how the World Cup turns out for you and for your England teammates. And again, for all of the other players cooking here over the last couple of days.
Thank you so much.
But thank you. And that's the end of the podcast. To our listeners, if you've enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you have, then join us next week for our next guest on Players World Kitchen. Until then, goodbye from both of us from Wrexham.
Goodbye.